Grinding all my life, sacrifice, hustle paid the price, want a slice, got to roll the dice, that's why all my life, I've been grinding all my life, look, all my life, been grinding all my life, sacrifice, hustle paid the price, want a slice, got to roll the dice, that's why all my life, I've been grinding all my life, look.
What up, what up, what up, what up? Welcome to the Ball Don't Lie podcast. This is your boy Dexter, your host, the one and only. Welcome back to another show. Big up to Sacramento Kings, who just played in the Summer League and balled out pretty much. I mean, there's a lot of good players that I actually watched, names that might get recognized to actually make it to the NBA in a sense. There's a lot of guys that are not going to make it, but it's a great platform, an opportunity for these young cats to fulfill the dream in a sense to be on the NBA stage, even Summer League. You know, to even get a shot or opportunity to actually play amongst the greats. So Summer League just ended. Sacramento Kings, to take my head off, y'all deserve it. But going forward, we want to see how you're going to form this team together because it's a hot mess. So I hope y'all figure it out. But besides that, I'm glad that the Summer League is back. I enjoyed most of the games out there. Some of the games were kind of sloppy and whatever it may be. That's the whole point of Summer League, right? So I enjoyed it. Sacramento Kings won. We didn't have Summer League last year in 2020 because of COVID, right? So it seems like everything's coming back to normal. Training camps are going to start, sometime in the end of September, and I'll drop the date later on. Yeah, but big up to Sac. I got family in Sac. Big fans, so they're cheering like this is their championship in a sense, right? No diss. But now we got that out of the way. I'm glad to be back. So we got a crazy episode to drop. You know, we just talked about Dennis Schroeder in the last episode, and dang, you thought it was just gonna get it's just gonna go back to normal, right? It's just getting worse and worse as far as situations that's gonna happen with certain players, and everybody has a different path as far as in the NBA, but the Ben Simmons saga is just as big as Dennis Schroeder's mistake. Let me note that right here, right? Ben Simmons, who I mentioned at the end of the last episode, I'll be dropping an episode about this, right? Ben Simmons' situation is absolutely utter disrespect by the organization itself. Like, let me just start from scratch. Ben Simmons ain't no scrub. He's no scrub. Like, the dude is talented. He can hoop. He's been in the league. He's young. Let me just name a few things that he's been notified, or I guess not notified, but been recognized is what I meant to say. Recognized for what he has accomplished so far in his young day and age, right? He has won Rookie of the Year, has become an all-star out of Philly. What else? First team all defense, and he's young. I get if the guy was a scrub. I get if he couldn't hoop. I get if he wasn't a star. He didn't draw a name, like star flash, if he had none of that, you ship him out. Yeah. But Ben Simmons, for what they did to Ben, and don't get it twisted, Ben. Like, you're partly to blame for this for sure. You did this to yourself in a sense. But, you got screwed. They threw you under the bus in a sense. Joel Embiid, for the comments he said in Game 6 and 7, yeah, he threw you under the bus. For what Doc said in Game 6 and 7, it was, hot and cold. Game 6, he was, praising, no, you know what? Ben is our guy. Then goes to Game 7, after you guys lost in your crib, right, to the Atlanta Hawks. Trae Young and company beat you guys, right, in your house in Philly. What did Doc say? Doc said some crazy stuff. And I'll go ahead and play a clip of what he said because it was like night and day. It was like hot and cold. It was like oil and water. The stuff he's saying did not make sense. It did not mix. One second he's saying this, and the next second he's like, damn, what did he say? What happened just less than 48 hours ago? But I'm going to go ahead and speak about that in a second. But let me just run down the mayhem that's going on right now in Philadelphia. If you're a Sixers fan, pay attention. If you're an NBA fan, pay attention because it's crazy. So they lose Game 7 to the Hawks. Immediately, Ben Simmons put two fingers up, said, deuces, he's out. He exited I don't think he had an exit meeting, with Doc Rivers and Daryl Morey and Elton Brand, who's the GM, goes to London, hangs out with his girl, Maya Jama. I'm going to post this picture right here so y'all can see what I'm talking about. And tells the Australian team who he said he will play for, the Australian national team, with Patty Mills and Joe Ingles and his own teammate for the Sixers, Thias. And he told other guys, like, I'm coming. Then he withdrew himself from the actual Olympic Games in Tokyo. Then comes back to the stateside with his girl, bought a house in L.A., and was hanging out there in L.A. with his girl, Maya Jama, right? So this is like going over the course of the summer. News reports are coming out of Philadelphia and local outlets in Philadelphia. Then became a national thing that Daryl Morey had phone calls for certain teams. The Raptors came out and said, we'll give you Kyle Lowry in a sign-in trade. We'll give you OG Anunoby. We'll give you Fred VanVleet. And we'll give you the fourth pick in the 2021 NBA draft that happened in early August, right? That was declined by the Sixers. So imagine, you're trading Ben Simmons for Lowry, Fred VanVleet, OG Anunoby, the fourth pick. So that's 4 players, which I'm pretty sure that would have been probably the best option if you're trying to win a championship with Joel Embiid, right? If you're trying to keep Joel Embiid satisfied, right? Because going forward, if you don't know, if you're not reading in between the lines, especially for you Philly fans, this team is being constructed around Joel Embiid, not Ben Simmons. If you look at it, they're building around Joel Embiid. So I think Ben's kind of seeing the writing on the wall, and then like what happened against the Atlanta Hawks, Game 7, especially Game 7, it kind of just made everything more clear as day. So hopefully, Ben Simmons gets traded for. I mean, I hope he goes to a good team, right? But if it doesn't, I know how the NBA works. They're going to do what's best in the interest of the Sixers, not necessarily for Ben Simmons, especially if they want him out, not him asking to be out until he was asked to be out. But I'll go ahead and explain that too as well. So the Raptors said, we'll give you these guys. Sixers said, hell no, we don't want that. Then the Pacers came in the picture and said, hey, we'll give you Brogdon in the late first-round pick. And they're like, no, we don't want that either. Okay. Then the Spurs came in the picture and said, we'll give you somebody. Then the Minnesota Timberwolves came in the picture. We'll give you somebody. Then the Warriors, rumors came out the Warriors were flirting with this for a while. Like when they heard Ben Simmons' name talked about in the last 2 months, like they were tempted. There was reports that, Draymond, Steph, and Clay all huddled up and said, hey, trade your picks before they pick the players and they made a draft. Trade those 2 picks, get Ben Simmons here. That was the talk. They said, nah, let's just wait and see who we get anyways, right? So the initial conversation amongst the Warriors organization was, if we get Ben here, we're gonna get I forgot his name, it's like Tobias, but it's another player in the Sixers, basically. They're gonna get those 2 guys, right? For a package deal to include Wiggins, James Wiseman, and the 2 picks, right? Who happen to be now Moses Moody and Jonathan Kuminga. So obviously this was talked about before they picked those players, but those 2 guys are pretty solid to me, what I saw in Summer League. But that's Summer League. So it's like a wait and see kind of thing, right? But imagine if they said, yeah, and the Sixers said, we'll take that pick. Let's say Daryl Morey does decide to, say, yeah, we'll take the pick. Or we'll take those 2 players from, or the 2 picks in the draft, plus James Wiseman and Andre Wiggins. Ben Simmons will not fit well with Draymond on the court at the same time. So that was the deciding factor. The upper management for the Golden State Warriors, right? So Bob Myers, who's running things, right? And Lacob and company, who's the owners, and whoever else is in the middle of all that, which is investors, whoever else it may be, decided, hey, this is not going to mix. Draymond and Ben Simmons' game is too damn identical in a sense. These guys are They want to have the ball in their hands at times. They want to pass the ball. You know what I mean? They play defense pretty good as far as both of them, but they can't score. So we can't have two liabilities on the court. Draymond's one they can deal with because they have great shooting. When you add Steph and Clay, it kind of overshadows Draymond's ill will to shoot the ball sometimes. Even though he will shoot the ball, he ain't like Ben Simmons. Like Ben Simmons is, he's scary at times. Like he didn't even want to even look at the basket if he's 15 feet out. Like it's like a kid that he sees a swimming pool. It's like, oh my God, that's 8 feet. I'm not going in. In that sense, right? Like he doesn't even want to test the waters, right? As far as Ben Simmons, but Draymond would. But you can't have two guys. So the discussion was pretty much something I was going back and forth with the upper management about them having this, like they're torn between the two. Like, okay, because the Sixers, I'm pretty sure, had probably talked to the Warriors and said we want Draymond probably in the package. Or maybe the Warriors are trying to give up Draymond because we can't have them both. Let's keep Wiggins or Wiseman, one of those guys, and just ship Draymond. But long story short, right, it's been talked about. It's been going back and forth. The owner of the Warriors came out saying we ain't trading for no obvious trades. Like, whatever y'all know in public, we don't do that. Well, I don't believe that. They're trying to relieve pressure off of, because obviously this gets to players. You have young guys like, the draft picks you just selected, right, and Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody. Then you have Wiseman. Those three guys are gonna be like, they're gonna go through the emotional of getting traded for the first time. Like it already happened to Wiggins. Wiggins knows the deal. He got traded on his rookie year from Cleveland to the Minnesota, then get traded again from there to the Warriors. But I don't want to get too deep into the situation, but you kind of catch what I'm saying. So those reports were coming out throughout the whole entire summer, and the crazy thing about it is that the Sixers are trying to up the leverage, in a sense, on Ben Simmons. They're asking for the whole entire organization, in a sense. Like, to my understanding, if you're asking, for example, they want Damian Lillard, right? They want Damian Lillard. So Damian Lillard, there's rumors that he wanted to leave during, his time in the Olympics in Tokyo, right? But he came out and said, it wasn't me. I don't know who's talking, but it wasn't me, right? I mean, I don't know. People don't make things out of thin air, and nobody's gonna go out their ways to make a lie. Yeah, Dame wants out because that ruins that reporter's reputation if it comes out to be, a lie. So anyways, that's not the topic. They will trade Ben Simmons for Dame. Sixers will do that. But what is Portland getting back? They ain't the same players. But the way they're shopping Ben Simmons, like he's for sale. Like that's known, right? Like the worst kept secret in the NBA is Ben Simmons. Oh, yeah, we're trading him on the low. We're talking to teams, but then they come out, like a Bleach Report just came out saying that, yeah, we're not trading Ben Simmons. We expect him to be here in training camp next month in September. But behind closed doors, you discuss trade options with 4, 5, 6 teams. Probably damn near half the league guys called you about Ben Simmons. So what they're doing, they're playing games. Daryl Morey at the top is known to do this. He's been doing this in Houston. Like he tries to manipulate. How do you think he got James Harden to come to Houston? He traded Kevin Martin from Houston Rockets to OKC. Kevin Martin. He's a shooter. I wouldn't trade him for, if I was OKC, I wouldn't trade James Harden for Kevin Martin, but Daryl Morey put that play. So what he's trying to do in this sense, right, this is like the James Harden trade 2.0 or a Kevin Martin trade 2.0. They're trying to shop Ben Simmons to get 5 players. Or they're going to try to trade Ben Simmons to the Blazers and get Damian Lillard, like a one-off, like 1-on-1. That don't make sense. That don't make sense to me. If Dame is demanding a trade specifically to the Sixers, then it makes sense. But you gonna get more than one player back if you're Portland, right? There's no way you're just having Ben and Dame to go 1-on-1. So that's what Daryl Morey is trying to do. He's leveraging the league in a sense because you gotta understand, Ben Simmons still has $140 million on his contract, so it ain't like he going anywhere soon, right? And it wasn't until recently, like maybe a day or two, couple of days ago, whatever it may be, in the last week, Ben Simmons has publicly or through certain people came out saying that he's seeking a trade. So at this point, he's not going to come back to training camp after what Doc said, after what Joel Embiid said, and what Darren Moore's been doing all the summer as far as trying to get this guy out of town for the highest package. Like, you can't have the price of a house in the hood, in a sense, right? Because Philly, to me, is not a championship team yet, even though they have the best record. But you're selling a guy like he has won everything in the NBA. Like, don't get me wrong, he has achieved things in the NBA early. Rookie of the year, first team on defense, all-star, I get it, but then he's not a player. He's not a franchise player. He can't carry a franchise. He's a part of a franchise. He's not a franchise caliber person to carry. Even Dame Lillard's not that guy either. He can't carry a franchise to the promised land. That's not his game either. So it's the Spurs like that. It's just how it is. Giannis is a franchise player. He carried his team, right, to the NBA Finals. Proved it this year. Enough said. Stamped in, right? LeBron James is a franchise player. Steph Curry is a franchise player, right? KD is a franchise player. Like, there's so much you can think of. Ben Simmons is not that guy. He's not a franchise player. So all this mess that's going on, now he's seeking a trade. He said, I want to be out of town. And his agent is Rich Paul, who happens to be LeBron's best friend, right? Who happens to know Ben Simmons, right? So Ben Simmons is like, hey, I want to be out of here. I want to go to any team in Cali besides the Kings. So he's like, I'll pick three of those. He said, those three teams in Cali, the two teams in LA, the Clippers and Lakers, or the Warriors in the Bay Area, I'm glad to go to. He has a house in LA, so it makes sense that he wants to go to the West Coast. Rich Paul is his agent, who happens to stays in the West Coast. LeBron and all of them on the West Coast. So it makes sense why he wants to go to the West. But Lakers can't afford him. The Clippers can't afford him. The Warriors probably could afford him in multiple trades assets, right? But he can't go to the Clippers unless they're going to ship one of those two guys, either Kawhi or Paul George. They ain't happening. The Lakers are just over the cap. They're in the luxury bracket, the luxury tax bracket, right? Then they're not shipping Russ or AD for Ben Simmons. And don't even mention LeBron James, because the Lakers ain't doing that for Ben Simmons. I'm sorry, right? And the crazy thing about that is, too, even 2K, NBA 2K22 happened to just drop their ratings for the upcoming season, and they listed Ben Simmons' rating at 84. So what does that tell you? If his rating's at 84 overall, and LeBron and Steph and all of them are at 96 as of right now, yeah, he's not that guy to be a franchise player. Yeah, but there's been rumblings about that, the trades that's been going on. So, we'll see what happens in the coming weeks. Training camp doesn't start until what? September 28th? So end of September is when training camp is, you have to be there or you'll be fined, right? Ben Simmons has made it known that he will skip training camp and he will skip the future season with the Sixers just to get traded. My personal opinion, he's out of town. He ain't coming back. Like, whatever happened has between the organization over the last couple of years is completely broken at this point. It is broken. It's non-fixable. This will not be fixed overnight. If he still shows up to preseason, as far as Ben Simmons, he ain't meshing with these dudes. Like, even though him and Embiid is cool, but they ain't meshing together, man, as far as the organization. So let me just start from the beginning about like what really happened and why we're here today, right? So Game 6, they lost to the Sixers. The Sixers lost to the Hawks Game 6 in Atlanta. Doc Rivers in the press conference said some crazy stuff, saying that they asked him about Ben Simmons. Can you still rely on Ben to be your point guard? This is Game 6 press conference. Doc went on and said the right things, like he's supposed to do. He's the coach of the team, right? You are the leader. It starts from you. And Doc has been there for a long time. Like, he has his reputation. This is what he's known for, is to prop you up and BS everybody else. But Doc keeps it real when it comes to real life moments. When it comes to real talk, he's 100%. So what he said in Game 6 was like, we still believe in Ben. Ben's our guy. He's our point guard. and we're going to ride until the wheels fall off with Ben. Either we win or lose, we're riding with Ben, right? So everything's good after Game 6 press conference. Game 7, they lose at the crib to the Hawks. Doc comes into the presser. You know what they asked him? Hold up, man. Let me run the tape for you guys. Run the tape.
And I'm speaking of the offense. Ben only took 4 shots, and he passed up a dunk late. Is there anything that you have to talk to him about, or is that just nerves, or what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously he struggled from the free throw line, and that became a factor in the series. There's no doubt about that. Still believe in him, but we have work to do. We're gonna have to get in the gym, put a lot of work in, and go forward.
Thanks, Coach.
That's what Doc said. Doc said, we're going to go into this summer, which is right now, current state, right? To work on our game, to get better. That's what we're going to do. Same press conference. Not all the day. Same press conference, different reporter. This was asked to Doc Rivers. Run that tape.
Doc, do you think Ben Simmons can still be a point guard for a championship team like the one you guys want to become?
Yeah, David, I don't know that question or the answer to that right now. So I don't know the answer to that.
What do you when you say get in the gym with him? What needs to be done? I mean, obviously this is fresh. And you have
that's between Ben and I.
Thanks, man.
That is wild. Like, what the energy changed from Game 6 to Game 7, but that energy definitely changed in that Zoom presser, that Zoom call with Doc Rivers with the 2 different reporters. One, he said we're gonna try to get in the gym and get better, and the next thing is like, I don't know that question right now. I can't even answer that question. Is he gonna be the future for us? I don't know. That alone is an ultimate disrespect. That alone is the game changer. That alone you cannot recover back from, for no one. If you don't believe in me and you've been asked that question, why the F am I going to come back? Why do I want to play for this coach or this team? You got to understand, this wasn't like newsflash, like, here you go. This has been talked about for years. Is Ben going to be here or Joe's going to be here? Are they going to trade Ben or are they going to trade Joe Embiid? This has been going on for years. They said it would not work. When Doc came to town, they asked Doc the same thing. Can you make this work? He said, yes, we're going to make this work. And they're the best team in the NBA. So all I'm saying is that they have to figure out where to trade Ben, because he ain't coming back to town. And Rich Paul's going to do whatever it takes. It's even crazy that Ben Simmons he cut off all communication. Reports came out, he cut off all communications with the team, and specifically Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid's been hitting him up either via call, text message, social media, whatever it may be. He completely just ignored him. That's the reports that's coming out. That's not fixable. I don't care what you say. To me, it's even a head scratcher when you have your second star in town not messing with you as a star, which is Joel Embiid. That's crazy. I get it if you have beef. I get it. You squash it. That's between you and him. Like, y'all fight battles together. You know what I mean? Like, but for y'all to get mad about something really small at a certain point, like, Joel Embiid had nothing to do with the fall of Ben Simmons in a sense, right? Like, because to a slight degree, this is part of Ben's problem. Game 7, you had a dunk, and you decided to pass an open dunk for pass up an open dunk to pass the ball. That's what you're getting killed for. So the love and feeling ain't going to be the same. Joel Embiid, yeah, he kind of said something about that, but that's fixable between players. But organizations, if they come out and say things like that, that's not fixable. So yeah, I mean, I'm not mad at Ben Simmons for being pissed. He should be pissed. They kind of threw him under the bus. But reality is, Doc Rivers is a guy that will tell you what's real and what's not real. He will tell you if it's raining today or it's sunny today. He ain't going to be the one that's going to be in a fairyland like, yeah, you know what? It's going to be sunny throughout the whole entire year in Minnesota. Like, no snow, no nothing. Just straight sun. He ain't going to lie to you. He's going to keep it real. But keeping it real sometimes does affect a player, especially Ben Simmons, who cannot shoot. So it's going to be great to see. It's going to be interesting to see where he goes going forward, because his trade value is right now it's up there. Like, he can still get traded for a lot of players or a good player. Like, that hasn't changed today. But to trade him for Dame Lillard as a straight one-on-one trade, I don't think that would work. But Ben Simmons going to another team, we'll see where that goes. But if Dame does come to Philly, they're already what? They're a contender, right? Yeah, I believe so too, because they're the best team this year with Ben Simmons. Like, everything they had with Ben Simmons in the season only became, quote-unquote, a liability in the playoffs. Like, you got exposed. I even said it even in other episodes when they lost. Man, Ben Simmons got exposed last year, got exposed this year, got exposed at certain games in the season. All you got to do is just sag off and dare him to shoot or go to the basket. But the problem is that in the playoffs, it's hard to do that because it becomes a mental thing. When everybody's talking about it, when you're having pressure, when you're playing the same team again, that's what happens. So it was a mental mistake on his part. I mean, he went from, what did he average? Let me see. I'll put this up for you guys for 1 second. Yeah, so he went from averaging, 14 points in the regular season to, 11 points? So all his production dropped in the playoffs, pretty much. I mean, he averaged more assists, but everything else, points, maybe rebound went up a little bit, but he's averaging 14 and 6 during the season. So that guy, I will not want to build a franchise around. Like I said, going forward, we'll see what happens. You know, the worst kept secret in the league is that the Sixers are trying to keep him in town. They say he's going to be in training camp, but they're trying to turn him behind closed doors, which is funny to me. But the good thing about Philadelphia, for Sixers fans out there, they locked up Embiid for the 4 years after his next season contract ends. So his supermax extension is worth about $196 million, which will begin it'll start in the season of 2023 and 24. So in 2 years, that extension will be kicked in. So he'll be here for another 7 years in Philadelphia. So enjoy that, man. But all in all, regarding Ben Simmons, we expect a trade soon, one way or another. We expect a trade soon, one way or another. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, this is going to be one of the most storyline topic throughout the whole NBA season. This is going to be talked about more than the Nets trying to figure out their whole situation, the Lakers trying to figure out their whole situation as far as chemistry. Can they fit? Can Russ play together with LeBron James? Yada, yada, yada. This will trump all that news because the debacle in Philadelphia is Ben and Doc and Daryl Morey. Embiid to a slight degree, but it's those three guys for sure. So keep your eye on that, and we'll definitely dive in. We'll let you know what happens in the coming future with Ben Simmons. If he does get traded, I'll be here to tell you guys that news. So we'll see what happens. But NBA season about to start pretty soon. Until then, I'll see y'all next time, man. Y'all be safe, man. I love for the ones that have been kicking it in for me, man. I appreciate the love. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. All that good stuff. The link's in the bottom. Until then, man, y'all be safe, man. Peace.